Hello, Prasad. How are you?
I'm good, sir. What about you?
Good, 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 good. So, hello everyone. This video is for everybody who is fresher and trying to get a job in Salesforce ecosystem. I am with my one of my student Prasad, and recently he has got as a Salesforce developer job, and he has a different background. He's not from the traditional computer science background. He's from the B pharma background, and he's one of my student of interview preparation batch, and I'm extremely happy for all his success. And see, because it is really difficult to get a job as a Salesforce fresher in this ecosystem, I've got him with me too, and he'll be answering all the questions I normally get from a Salesforce fresher. We will try to see his perspective, how he approached the Salesforce ecosystem, how he prepared for an interview, and how he actually got the job in the Salesforce ecosystem. So over to you, Prashad. Tell me something about yourself and how you got to know about Salesforce, how from a B Pharma background you thought of getting a job in Salesforce, and what constantly kept you motivated, to keep on studying, because I know how difficult it is to get a job as a fresher, and especially in Salesforce where we have so many people available in the market, especially when the market is in the real bad shape and freshers jobs are, very rarely available.
Yes. So I'll start with my name. My name is Prasad Pund. I'm basically from Pune. A few months back, sir, I got an internship in sales, which was my previous background. So during my internship time, I was exposed to the CRM. So after ending my internship, I was having one exam due to which I could not continue further for that job. Because of that, I had to leave. And in those timing, I was quite sure that I'm going to work on CRM, as I was told about here that your further role will be on CRM only. So in the after exams, I took decision like I did full research 1 month, as there was no friends in Salesforce for me, and I was completely alone at that time. Like I was not having any idea about Salesforce. And whenever I say Salesforce, most of the people mistaken that it is a sales profile, right? So it was started with that. I did my research as it was a completely 360 turn for me, like coming from a B farm background, then sales and marketing and doing internship, and then going for the Salesforce. So it was necessary for me to do a complete research before selecting this, as I know that if I choose this, then there will be no turning back for me. I'll have to go with a full fledged for that technology. So I did research about it, and fortunately, as there were no friends for me in that time, or I was not even knowing anyone who is doing Salesforce, so I used to research on it on YouTube, Google, and fortunately I came in contact with you. I still remember I commented on one of your videos that how much Java is required to learn Salesforce, and from there on we connected. I messaged you and you replied me as well. Like it was a big plus for me to have someone who is so much of experience and who is helping me. So I felt a bit comfortable at that time, and I started connecting with more people including yourself. And thereon, I took training for 6 months for the Salesforce and started a journey with you as our interview preparation batch. And I was exposed to the people who are having at least 3 to 4 years of experience, which helped me a lot because there was a time at when I was not aware of many topics. Like we used to discuss in our groups about so many things. So it helped me to made my mentality that yes, I'm going to do that in future, and I'll have to work on those things. So overall, all happened, and eventually I got into the job. Yes.
All right, very nice. Yes, we connected over the YouTube comment, and then you joined our batch and everything. So yes, I am happy to be part of your journey, and I actually, I mean, that interview preparation batch is doing really good. I'm proud of the
Yes.
students,
Yes.
but it's all your hard work. You started the research, and then you actually learned. My role came, in the later phases of your journey, but you learned everything on your own, and then you practiced those things, and kind of helped you in a way of how to answer such questions. But
Yes.
it was all your hard work where you studies everything, following different the mentors available in the industry. So the main purpose of this recording and podcast is basically to address the common questions we have from the freshers, because in my opinion, freshers are the people who need, the most support in this industry, because they not only need to constantly keep on learning, they also need to make sure that they do get interview calls and all. And it is really difficult to get an interview call for a fresher, because obviously everybody expect people who should to join, who have experience in certain things. And also it is very, it's a kind of market where there are very few jobs for fresher. So
Yes.
I normally get so many questions from freshers in those aspects, and today I'll be trying to ask those questions from you, and we'll be trying to understand your point of view for those questions. And any freshers who might be watching this recording might find those helpful. And that's the aim of this, so that we'll try to help as many freshers as I can, because I most of the time I keep on saying that freshers are the people who need most of the help from us, and from the people who are contributing in the community. So, and once you reach an experience, certain experience level, it kind of becomes easier for you to get interview calls, and then it is up to your skills to get selected or not. But as a fresher, you also need some certain kind of luck plus skills, plus you need to have better connections over LinkedIn, over different things. So there are so many questions. So we'll start couple of questions, and let's see how it goes. So
Yes.
the a major problem freshers face nowadays is the interview calls,
Yes.
because last couple of months, especially more than a year and a half, there are very few interview calls for freshers. Even for the experienced people, there are less calls. So for freshers, it is extremely low calls. And most of the time they feel that they're not getting interview calls, so they feel very demotivated. Sometimes we feel like, what's the purpose of studying if we are not getting interview calls? So what was your strategy to get more interview calls, and what will you suggestions will you give to those freshers who are actually looking for job and studying, have completed their training and looking for job in the Salesforce ecosystem?
I'll segment this into two. First part will be like how to get calls. I myself, from coming from non-technical background, it was quite hard for me, as I know that I'll only get if there are 10 opportunities, there'll be hardly one opportunity for me, and I'll have to crack that. My mindset was that only, because for the rest of the people there will be definitely 10 opportunities, like people coming from computer background. But for me, my mindset was quite clear from the start, that when I started that time only, I was quite clear about that. If I, even if I'm going to get one call, I'll definitely going to crack that one. So I started myself from started discovering LinkedIn, as it before that I was not using LinkedIn that actively. So my journey started from that only. Like, I started connecting with people, and I would like to share one of my experience. I was also one of those people who were quite depressed for not getting calls. To be really honest, I started thinking about, like, am I even capable of going for the job, or for going to the Salesforce ecosystem? And then suddenly at one night, I applied at 3 a.m. I got sleepless night back then, like not getting calls, because I told to my parents that I'm going to do this course. And when you are going coming from a job, like you're about to get a job and you're suddenly trying to switch your career, then questions will definitely be asked or raised by the parents, like you are at the age that you need to do a job, and how come you are changing your career from that? And for coming from that, like, I was needed like 6 months at least to prepare myself for that. So at night, I was constantly applying on the job, although I was not getting any replies. Like, there were many groups in our Salesforce ecosystem as well, which post jobs actively for the freshers, but I was hardly getting any. So I applied at 3 a.m. I remember still that one job. I'm not going to tell the organization's name, but in the morning, and I also applied and also connected with the HR team and the employees over there. So what happens is, whenever a mid-level company hires, they actually employees also get connected with the potential employer. So yeah, so I connected with one of their employees, and I messaged randomly, like, just hello, I'm this, and I'm looking for the job. and I was quite sure that I'm not going to get reply. But when I woke up in the morning, I saw the message and I suddenly jumped into it. Like I started explaining like how much skills I'm having right now and how eager I am to join this organization, even if it is in Rajasthan. I'll still be able to go. Like I'll still able to go there. So I told her that I'm immediate joiner and all those things. Like I can join immediately. Then she told me that she just dropped her number and told me to call her at the evening. We'll discuss further. So it was a quite a boost for me, as I've told you as well about that. It was my first call, and it went well actually. But actually, they were looking for someone who is near about that area. So,
Okay.
but still, it was quite a positive thing for me to just receive one call from them, and it kept me motivated, to be really honest. Like if I can get to that level, that I can definitely go to one level further.
Right.
So from there on, I start kept applying for the jobs, and for the freshers who are from non-technical background, I would suggest keep following company pages. Like there are certain companies who hires freshers for walk-in interviews, and in walk-in, no one checks actually your background. Like at first, you are similar to the people who are coming for the walk-in. So after that, you are having chance to explain why you switched from non-technical to technical, but at least you are getting the chance to explain to the employer, right? So I would suggest that target most of the walk-ins if someone is coming from non-technical background. Yes, definitely apply on mail as well, but there are certain companies who approaches their students for walk-ins. So I would suggest that to go for walk-in interviews so that they'll definitely get a chance to reach.
Definitely. Yes, thank you. So, yes, LinkedIn is extremely helpful. I have also seen this, and I also keep on getting messages on LinkedIn, and I try my best to reply as many as I can. So obviously, I also suggest most of the freshers is that if you are not getting interview call, then you need to go yourself to find
Yes,
all
because
the
Naukri is
positions
nothing like
available. Yeah,
Naukri. If you're applying from Naukri, you'll not get a single call. And there are
yeah,
many coaching institutes as well which are approaching you to, like they are going to give you 100% placement. These all are myths, to be really honest. I
yeah,
myself been part of this, and there are hundreds of freshers. I want to address them that they are not going to give you jobs. So start applying by yourself. Create your
yeah.
mindset in such way that yourself have to find the job in future. So no
Correct.
company, no organization is going to provide you the course. Yeah.
Correct. Guys, so all the freshers, if you are not getting interview calls, you need to be more active on LinkedIn. Try to make a better connections. Try to see the companies who are hiring for, and then try to talk to the connections who are working on those companies. It obviously it is your career. You need to take a stand. You need to, do some extra efforts. It is not like putting yes on a comment and
Yes.
then company will be reviewing your profile. They'll never review your profile. Those are just these scams, guys. So don't follow such kind of scams. Try to be
Yeah.
more attentive and try to make good connections on LinkedIn, and as many as you can, try to see the company job portals, and try to see if you get some HRs from the same company available on LinkedIn. Try to make connections there. Try to ask questions, and most of the people I found on LinkedIn are very helpful, and they do provide support. They do help you. If it is within the manageable limit, they'll obviously be helping you. So yeah, this is the major problem. And the second most important question comes, that is in my mind, is that whenever you have to hustle to get an interview call, it is very demotivating, and most of the people feel that there is no point of studying. And what happens is that if they study, then they wait for interview calls, they do not get any interview call, and then they lose whatever they have learned. They get demotivated, and then when they get an opportunity, they fail to grab that because they lost all the touch of the technology because of the demotivation. So how to constantly stay motivated even in difficult situation like this when you are not getting job? Many of the freshers do ping me and they say that, sir, what's the point of studying when we are not getting interview calls? We are not sure if we'll be getting calls or not, so what's the point of studying? And that actually happens is that when you do get calls, you kind of mess up. because you lost all those things. So how to stay motivated in situation like these?
So I was coming to that point only. Like when I also had like one of the interview call, I was also not studying. Like I was also lost of interest during that period. Like I
Right.
was demotivated a bit. But then I realized that when the interview was set up, like it was only for a day after, and I had to recall everything which I have learned for like 6 months. But due to that break which I took, like I was not studying because of not getting any interview calls. I realized that it is not going to work, Prasad. You'll have to be in touch with the studies. So my
Right.
advice would be that you will get call at any time, and interview will not give you any time. Like they'll say like interviews for tomorrow, scheduled is for tomorrow. So you'll have to keep working on your skills. This is my advice I would like to do. Whatever mistakes I have done at that time, I don't want you guys to repeat it. So keep studying, keep upskilling yourself, because interview calls will come at some point of time and you'll have to be ready for that. It is not like that, because see, there are very less opportunities for freshers, and you'll have to create that, that you, even if you get one chance, you'll have to give you 100%. So you cannot complain about, oh, you have studied and you have taken some break and you're not going to get that interview. So my suggestion would be, please prepare yourself, please be prepared for yourself for that call. Even if you get one call, give it your 100%, and this will only happen when you are constantly studying, or even if revising for that matter.
Definitely. And if I add one point there, always whenever you are studying, try to create your own notes. It is
Yeah.
extremely easy to revise your notes rather than going through those things again. I have my notes from, you'll not believe, I have my notes from 2015, 16. But whenever I see them, it will hardly take 5 minutes to complete whole, the notebook, the way I
Yes,
have
yes.
created it, because those were written by me. I exactly know how I wrote and why I wrote this line, and it is extremely easy to revise from my notes. And I have given this advice to many, not only freshers but also to experienced people. Whenever you are studying something, our mind keep on constantly getting a lot of data, a lot of new things, that we tend to forget all those things. So it is extremely important to create your own notes. It will, obviously it will take some time to create notes, but it will give you real benefits when you will have to revise from those notes.
Yes, sir.
Yep, very, very nice. Okay. Sometimes I do get questions like, sir, I am a fresher. What kind of projects I can mention on my resume? Because my resume is not getting selected. Is it something wrong with my project, or how can I explain those projects? Shall I copy a project from someone else who is experienced, or can I go for the projects which are available in the learning tutorials available on YouTube, or on Udemy, or on the different tutors we have in the Salesforce ecosystem who do provide projects in as part of their training? Can they mention their such kind of projects? And what is the role of resume, overall role of resume in their job hunt?
So when if I say, like, there are many tutors who give their training and provide you projects as well, and there are so many dummy projects as well over the internet. So you can try on that as well, and mention those all the things. Do remember that mentioning keywords like visual force and all those things in those projects, so that if the company is having some requirement, first go through that requirement. Like if someone is giving you a job like on LinkedIn, so do remember all those keywords which you need to put in your resume, in those projects as well. And the project's explanation is very important, sir. Like most of the time what happens is, if interview asks you about your projects, we directly starts explaining like we have used triggers and we have used whatever configuration in that. So firstly you'll need to understand that why you created that project and how that project will impact to that particular organization. If we are making HR management project, then how important it will be for the HRs. So start from that, then come from the for the configuration part and all whatever you have applied in that. And also mention about the best practices you have followed during that, whatever bugs you got during that, how you resolve that. So for explaining project, do a complete package. Like do not just explain like I have done this, I have done that, why it is
Right.
important for the organization. And yes.
Yes, very nice. So see, because when we mention a project in our resume, an interviewer expect you to that you have worked on that. So
Yeah.
whenever, so if you have worked on that project, that will be the best thing. And no matter if it is a small project or a big project, if you have done it from scratch, you will be understanding all the, bits and pieces of that project, and it will be very easy for you to. So don't worry about some fancy project. Don't
Yes, sir.
take that thing. It's just that even if it is just an order management project or HR management project or anything, car rental project or whatever it is, if you know everything, if you have built everything from scratch, you will be able to explain it. But if you have not built it, then I highly recommend you to at least do one project on your own from scratch, right from the problem statement, then creating the data model, then creating all the automations, reports, dashboard, everything. It should be
Yeah.
done by you so that you can explain it in your in your interview, and it will be easier for interviewer to understand your skill set, what are the things you like doing, what are the things you are strong at, and then obviously it will help you to get that job. So
Projects are
it
kind of
is
mini certifications, sir.
correct, correct. Yes, sometimes, I mean, most of the time, whenever I take interview, I kind of do not ask much about these certifications, because certifications is something which in my opinion is very overrated. I'm not saying it is bad, obviously
Yeah.
it is good, but if it is done in a legit way, then
Yeah.
obviously it takes time to do that certification. Now I'm seeing people in 2 months they have done 6 or 7 certifications. That's not a realistic timeline, to be very
Yes.
frank. If I have to do a certification, I have to study 2 months rigorously, 2 hours, 3 hours every day for that certification. I cannot do 6 certifications in a month's time or 2 months' time. And otherwise, I don't think it is legit. so,
Even
so if
fake
it is,
experience, sir.
yeah, so if it
People
is
are putting
legit,
fake experiences.
yeah, people are putting fake experience, and that is also one of the major problem I face even in my batch, is that there are people who have put fake experience, and it becomes really difficult for me to explain them what to do, what not to do. Because
Yes, sir.
if I tell you,
Yeah, I would
yeah,
like to share one of my experience during
yeah,
my
please,
interview. So when I went for the interview, it was for entry level, okay, and
okay,
people who have put on fake experience for 2 years also came over there, and we were discussing like in a hurdle, like just what to expect, what not to expect, and they kept saying like, "Ki, I have put on fake experience. How can you expect to get a job for entry level if you have put on 2 years of experience?" So people
see.
need to understand that fake experience is not something which will give you job. Like it will
And
only worsen your career in future.
See, the problem with this is that if you put a fake experience, let's say I got a job and I put 2 years of fake experience. Now, when I join the company, company will expect me that I have 2 years of experience. So they will give me the kind of job
Yeah.
which is supposed to be done by a 2 year, 3 years of experience
Yes.
candidate. Now, the thing which I could have learned as a fresher, I'll not even get those things to work on. So
Yeah.
that learning will always be missing. And I have seen people who have covered all those things even after putting the fake experience, but they did rigorous work. They kind of worked 20 hours a day to kind of maintain that. They
Maintain
worked
that.
on three
Yeah.
four projects, and they knew that they have put, but they were not very happy about that fact that they
Yeah.
have put. So in the next 6 months they learned all the 2.5 years of work. But
Mm.
those are very rare cases, and
Yes.
I
Yes.
never recommend anybody to go that approach, because you will be haphazarding your own skill set. It will,
Yep.
you will not be able to go in a right direction, right path of learning. It will be
Yeah.
always difficult.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now coming to this controversial question, how much of the trailhead is too much of the trailhead? See, the problem with trailhead, I'm not saying the problem, but most of us do the trailhead in a way that we did something, we got the batch, and then we move on
Yeah.
to the next. So there
Yes.
is no proper structured approach in trailhead that we follow. Obviously, Salesforce has obviously created some roadmap, and if you follow, you will be able to learn. But most of us got a batch, and then we move on to the next batch. So because there is no structure we follow, we kind of forget all those things after once we get that batch. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what was your approach, and how much of the trailhead was helpful for you? What should you recommend to them?
I myself is not a big fan of Trellet, to be really honest. because I do think that it should be used as a alternative option just to study, like upskilling yourself, not your primary uh, thing will be trailed. Because what will happen is that you will just complete the badges, you will not learn anything from that, because what we have the habit of copy pasting, like whatever things are there we copy paste and just go for the badges just to increase your scores.
Yeah, right. So my suggestion to
So
all the
my suggestion would be
freshers,
just use it as an alternative.
right, right.
Yeah. So use it as
Similarly,
alternative. Do not highly dependent upon it only.
right, right. See, when it comes to Trailhead, I also whenever I suggest something on Trailhead is really good, and it's a very basic thing. And whenever you have to start something, Trailhead obviously gives you wings to start that thing.
Yeah.
But always do Trailhead in a structured manner. Create
Yes.
your own
So
notes, follow a trail mix, and don't don't go in a race to get more badges or the
yes,
ranks there.
for
Try
sure.
to focus on the topic, try to focus your aim. Like if your aim is to learn more on CPQ, then focus on the CPQ part rather than the whole
Yes.
trail it. And eventually you will get more badges, and
Yes.
even if you get all the badges, that is not a kind of victory unless you remember all those things, or unless you have those things in practical.
Yes.
So yes, I also have a similar opinion about Trailhead, and few people will bash me for saying Trailhead is not good enough. It is good. I'm not saying it is bad, but it gives us a good beginning to begin
Yes.
with, and then we have so many things available in the market.
Yes.
Now there is a question most of the time they ask me is that Salesforce actually is too big. Like there are
Yes.
so many things in Salesforce. What were the major topic you focused on, and what should a fresher who is looking for a job in current job market should focus on, and try to categorize these topics in one must to know topic. Like if you don't know that topic, even your interview will not be conducted. And then some good to know topics which, if you know, will obviously increase your chances of getting selected.
Yes, sir. So I would suggest that start with the core Java first. Like I have also followed that path, because most of the time what happens is we expect that companies will only ask about Salesforce. But the in reality, when you go for the interview, there were so many people coming from different technologies, and company tends to train them. Like they have a agenda that even if someone is coming from different technology, they'll eventually train them on Salesforce. So most of the time what happens is interview will ask you about the basic concepts about Java
Hmm.
and all those things, which most of the time people mess up. Like coming from non-technical background, they think that Salesforce only will help, but in reality for freshers it will come down to the basics, that is for sure. So
Correct.
my my journey, I started myself like with covering core Java. Then I started with the admin part, and followed by the backend and front end. So nowadays LWC and flows are very much important, sir. Like even I have myself experienced that nowadays people are started to even interviewer will tell you to write a LWC code instead of trigger, and these things are started nowadays. Because as whatever experience we were having, like my friends and all those, they told me to write triggers, you will be asked to write triggers. But nowadays trend is also changing, you will be asked
Right.
to write about LWC component as well. So do not like I would say, do not focus on only those things, focus also on LWC as well, and LWC
Correct.
and flows as well. So these are very must to know topic nowadays. It is not only good to know topic, it is must to know topic. And
Right.
whenever you go for LWC, like interviewer will expect you to have a knowledge about HTML, CSS, because these are the prerequisites before you going for the LWC. So questions will also come from that part as well. If someone is taking
Right.
interview, what our actually mindset is that we will be asked only about Salesforce. But for the freshers, I'm telling, but this is
Right.
not the thing. You will be
Correct.
asked about so many things others as well. So these are the must to know topic. Even I got one task about writing LWC code, so I'll suggest that do prepare LWC very well. This is not just to
Correct.
know topic. Yeah.
Correct, correct. LWC and flows are pretty much must to know. And that's what I also keep on saying during my interview preparation batch to everybody. Like do not over focus on trigger is good, and obviously trigger is the most important topic, but then there are topic which are now equivalent to trigger.
Yes, sir.
Those are LWC and flows, and there are very high chances that you will get to write LWC. So yeah, this is really really good, and couple of good to know topics if you can list down, that will also
Yes,
help
sir.
freshers.
Even we have just like did a one session on that. I remember we were discussing about financial clouds. So if you know any cloud, a basic of cloud, that will be enough. Like I think for the freshers, like even if you're having knowledge about sales or service cloud, which will be enough
Yeah,
for. Do not try to rush the things. Like you'll learn this. Try to focus on basics, and it will be good for if you're having some basic knowledge on any cloud like
correct,
CPQ.
correct.
Yeah.
And any computer science student, if you're watching this, it is extremely important that you kind of know some basics of data structures and
Yeah.
algorithms as well. They may give you string, reverse a string, or palindrome, reverse palindrome. So basic, programs you need to be comfortable with, because they expect you that you have practiced those things in your eighth and seventh semester. And this is not a bad thing. If you will learn those things, it will
Yes.
help you in later on in your journey. Okay, the other major problem the freshers face is that scenario-based question. Because they
Yes.
have not worked on a real-time project, it is very difficult for them to understand the scenario-based question. So, and most of the time, freshers, whenever they get a scenario-based question, they start panicking because they do not understand that question, and because they rush to answer that questions, they kind of start feeling anxiety as well. So, what will be your approach to answer a scenario based question, and how to say no if you do not know the answer of a particular questions, or if you are not able to understand the scenario, or if the topic is out of your league? How do you approach such thing?
Sir, one skill which you must master is requirement gathering, because most of the time what happens is whenever a tutor or YouTube channel you are learning from, they already discuss about the problem. Okay, and then they start solving that problem. But in when it comes to live projects and company, when you actually starts working, then you yourself have to analysis you yourself have to do analysis on that. You yourself have to do all the gathering of the requirements and then start working. So firstly my approach would be for to tackle all those all such scenarios which you mentioned, that firstly do understand about the requirement completely. Just do not start because most of the time what happens is, even if you are given a trigger, what we start is we start going with the list and all, like fetching the data before even understanding the full requirement. And we start thinking about the requirement in middle of the trigger, which is not a good approach. So firstly I would say that first understand the requirement completely, and then only start working on it. It will help you.
Correct, correct. So we kind of need to figure out the solution in our mind first before
Yeah.
actually going to write something. Yeah, that is pretty much in line with what I also think, is that sometimes I suggest the students to create a flow chart in your mind or in the copy. It is completely okay
Yes.
to have a copy in your interview in front of you. That is completely okay, and it is okay to ask more time from the interviewer as well. Like if you are not if you're not able to understand, it is okay to ask cross questions. It is
Yes.
okay to ask for more time. It is okay to think for 5 minutes and then start writing the solutions. It is not a bad thing in an interview. In fact, if you'll ask for more time, that thing will be appreciated by the interviewer, because
Yes.
you do have uh, you know time to think about those. So definitely. Now, this is very important. Freshers, whenever they start searching for the job, they kind of try to expand their network on LinkedIn, and they keep on sending requests to all the people who can help, who they think that they'll be
They
able
can
to
help.
help them. There are so many mentors available in the Salesforce ecosystem, and I'm very, very fortunate that this community is so helpful that every time I come up with a problem, I approach somebody, and I most of the time I always get response. So
Yes.
there are so many good mentors available. They keep on doing boot camp, they keep on doing the free workshops, they keep on doing paid workshop as well at a nominal price. So who are the top people who helped you learn the Salesforce? because any freshers who is watching this will definitely be able to connect to those people, and they can follow the boot camp, they can follow their workshop, they can connect via LinkedIn or whatever it is, but this can definitely help them. So that will be very helpful.
I'll definitely suggest Sir Sanjay Gupta, sir, first, who has
Yes.
started free boot camp and who have covered everything, literally everything in that. So it will be very better for, it will be very good for freshers if they follow. And also yourself, sir, I've been fortunate enough to be mentored by you, sir, because I remember there was still so many hard situation. I just pick up my cell phone and calling you, and you were resolving all my problems at that time. So I'm fortunate enough to have both of you in my life as a mentors.
Mine is mostly into interview preparation, so
Yeah,
I'll not recommend myself to learn this. I mean, whenever you learn everything on your
learning. Yeah,
own and then go for interviews, if you face any problem, then obviously I'll be more than happy to
yes,
help.
sir.
But from the learning, yes, you very correctly mentioned Sanjay Gupta. Sanjay Gupta sir is doing really great work,
Really work.
and
Yes,
I would also like to mention a couple of more people I like and follow. Sanjay Gupta, Amit Singh, and there was a mentor, Manish Chaudhary. He has done so many videos, and I have recommended couple of his videos.
yes,
We have Deepika Khanna on Udemy. I really like his approach of teaching. There is Debasi sir. He is also really good. There are so many. There are so many teachers. We have Aman, and then we have Shubham Bharadwaj, who is
yes, sir.
doing
For
so
flows.
much, so much for the flows, and
Yes,
then
sir.
his whole website is doing a lot of things. We have Badal, who is doing such a good
Yeah,
job in
for
the
triggers.
triggers. So I feel really good that we have now people who are helping, and these are, the mentors who are on the not on a very high scale, like we have people, if you check Epic SARS, or if you check the Jitendra Jha blog, if you go for the automationchampion.com,
Yeah,
if you go for Dinesh Yadav, they are the people who are on top, like they do not have time to reply you
yeah, yeah.
on LinkedIn, even though sometimes if you face, you can directly contact, but they are actually on top of the hierarchy. But then we have so many new mentors coming.
Yes, sir.
Yes, recently my student was telling me that they have started following the boot camp of the LWC. A new boot camp has started.
Yeah, heard about
So
it.
yeah, so I am really fortunate to have such a fabulous group of people who have started doing all those things for the community without expecting much in return.
Yes, sir.
See, being free or being paid is obviously a personal choice to keep a price of it or keep a free. But if it is something within a nominal price, I feel okay, because a mentor should also feel motivated to do that. Sometimes what
Yes, sir.
happens is that people do not treat the free resource with utmost respect they should have treated.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes I had a very bad experience with a free batch. When I started a free batch, people were like, ठीक है, सो के उठ गए तो ज्वाइन कर लिया, नहीं तो मेरा क्या जा रहा है, वैसा वाला
Yes, sir.
एटीट्यूड. That was really bad. But most of the time you will get satisfactory results. Okay,
Yeah,
last question. What will be your tips for the managerial round? Because
yeah,
freshers have never faced managerial round. For
yeah,
freshers, managerial round is a kind of unknown territory, because for the
yeah.
technical round they have studied a lot, they have studied months for that, and they can still answer. So they feel
Yes,
that
sir.
technical round is still their battleground, but
Yes, sir.
managerial round is completely an unknown territory for freshers.
Yes,
And
sir.
on top of that, sometimes companies start having the techno managerial rounds as well.
Yes, sir.
So what was your approach for the managerial round?
Be interactive. Firstly, I would say soft skill plays a big role in that, because you have completed all the hard part, like coming from technical interview, then HR and all those things. Managerial round is relatively easy, but they just check whether you are completely eligible for your that company or not. Like how much important you will be for that company, like you'll whether you will be a complete package for the company or not. So you'll need to explain them like how resource important resource you will be for the organization, like and you will have to be interactive between that. Like even I have also given like recently So I kept interacting with him, and he kept asking me about my technical background, but I kept saying that because what I did was like I studied a bit about the company. So
Right.
I knew that our company works heavily on Sales Cloud. So I come from sales background. I was able to convince him that
Yes.
I am coming from sales background, so I know end-to-end cycle. So yeah, so
This
I'll
is
be able
this
to
is
work.
such a good suggestion. Know your company. If you
Yeah,
know your company, half the battle is already won
done.
in the
Yes,
managerial round, because if you know what they need, and if you can kind of modify yourself in a way
yes,
what they need, then half the battle is already
yes,
won.
sir.
I always recommend people going through the company website, checking what are their major
Yeah,
projects or major domains they are working on. And when I was a fresher, I keep on creating notes for even for the companies, like where the company is headquartered, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
how many employees they have, all such thing. And they never went, I mean, I really enjoyed that process, because knowing if you're going for an interview for a company, if you know about the company, that gives you extra
Yes, sir.
confidence that
Yes,
you know more than what other candidates know. And that confidence sometimes matters a lot in an interview. So this was completely worth. All right. I think these were the major questions.
yeah,
On top of that, if you want to add anything, I'll be more than
yeah,
happy. It
yeah,
was such a great session having you here, and I'll keep on interacting. I took a session today on JavaScript
yeah,
basics. I'll be uploading that session today, and you were not there, so you need to watch that video as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
And we are planning a lot of other videos as well.
Yes,
So thank you so much,
thank
Prashad,
you.
for joining. It
Yeah,
was lovely, and I hope that freshers will be able to take
yes.
benefit from this.
Same
Thank
here,
you
sir.
so much. Yeah,
Thank
have
you
a
so much.
lovely day. Bye bye.
Yes. Bye.